Good morning UTkids, so glad that you could join us again online for another week. So we've been going through a series on the I ams of Jesus, times when Jesus said I am something, and he was telling us a little bit about who he was and his purpose. And so today we're going to look at a bit of a weird one. First of all, it might sound a wee bit weird, but we'll get into that. So I'm going to read it first of all, and it's found in John chapter 10 verse 9, and it says this: I am the door. Those who come in through me will be saved. I am the door. That sounds a wee bit weird. What is Jesus trying to say when he says I am the door? Well, before we get into that, we're going to stand up, shake ourselves off, get ready to dance, and we're going to worship together.
In my wrestling and in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. In the silence, you won't let go. In the questions, your truth will hold. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Tomorrow brings. With each morning I'll rise and sing. My God's love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are my light, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore.
So, just before worship, we read this verse when Jesus said that he is the door. And I know it sounds a wee bit strange to hear Jesus saying that he's the door. I mean, do people normally say that kind of thing? I don't think so. But if you remember last week, I said that Jesus liked to use illustrations. He liked to talk to the people so that they could understand in terms that they would understand. And so in this passage, he's actually talking about sheep and shepherds. So first of all, I want you to imagine there is a room, and in the room is the best thing that you could ever think of. Okay, so get that in your head. But the problem is there's no door. So how are you supposed to get in? How are you supposed to get the best thing that you can think of? Well, it's going to be a bit hard, right? Because you can't get in. There's no door. Well, I want to just share with you a couple of points. First of all, as I was saying, Jesus liked to use illustrations. And so he's talking to the people because they understood a bit of farming. And I don't know, maybe there's some farmers out there watching this and you can understand maybe what Jesus is saying in this passage. But he's talking about sheep. And he's saying that sheep are sometimes a wee bit silly, okay? Sometimes they don't really know what they're doing. They like to just follow, okay? And now at night time, sheep have to go into their pen, okay? And the pen provides them with safety. But the only way into the pen is through the door. And the shepherd opens the door and lets them in, and they've got safety, okay? And then the door closes and the wolves can't get in, or any other predators can't get in to harm the sheep. Now if the sheep are out on their own, they're probably going to get themselves hurt if a wolf comes or another predator comes, alright? And that wouldn't be good for the sheep. But Jesus is trying to tell us something in this, a bit about us, okay? And imagine we're the sheep and Jesus is the door into the pen. Now I asked you to imagine the best thing that you could ever think of that was in a room. And now the best thing that I could ever think of is eternal life with God, eternal life with Jesus in heaven. And that's salvation, that's being saved by Jesus, okay? And we get to be in eternity, we get to be in God's kingdom with him forever. That is the best thing that we could ever have. And what Jesus is saying is to get that, the only way that we can get there, that we can get into God's kingdom, is through the door that is Jesus. Jesus is saying that he is the door into God's kingdom. That's the only way that we can get there. We can't get there by any other way. We might think that we can do really good things, or we can follow something else, just like the sheep, where sheep follow. We may think that we can follow other people or other ideas, or we can follow our good works. Maybe we think that good things that we do will get us into God's kingdom, but it won't. We have to follow Jesus and go through the door that he is. He is the door that leads us into God's kingdom. And that's the first thing. And the second thing is, like I was saying, and Jesus is sharing in this story about the sheep, whenever they're in the pen and the door closes, they're safe. You see, the shepherd closes the door, and it means that no predator, no wolf, nothing can get in there to harm the sheep. And that's what Jesus is saying as well, that whenever we come into God's kingdom, he protects us. Jesus, whenever he is saying he is the door, he is saying that he offers safety and protection for us. And I think that is the most amazing thing that we could hear, that we can know. And you know, we might be thinking, actually, in this season in life, in this moment, in everything that's going on, where it's all a bit strange, and actually we may feel a little unsafe because we don't know what's going on. Well, we can rest assured, we can know with confidence that Jesus is protecting us, that Jesus is keeping us safe. So whenever we decide to trust Him, to follow Him, to put our lives in His hands, and to come into His kingdom, when we go through the door that is Jesus, we can know that He will protect us and He will keep us safe. Just like Jesus is describing about the shepherd and the pen and the sheep. And so if you want to go and just read a wee bit more about this story and read what Jesus is describing to the people, it's found again in John chapter 10, and we can read through and we can hear the story that Jesus is telling and hear in the illustration. But that's what I want you guys to remember today. The two things, that the only way that we can get into God's kingdom is through Jesus. And secondly, the second thing that I want you to remember is whenever we're in God's kingdom, Jesus gives us protection and safety. And I think that is an incredible thing to know and to learn. So hopefully you guys will remember that, and I would really encourage you to read through a bit more about what Jesus is saying. And hopefully you guys will tune in next week and we'll find out another thing that Jesus said when He said, I am something. Well, that's us for another week. Thank you so much guys for tuning in, and have an amazing week this week and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.